I got a jar of dirt. I got a jar of dirt. And guess what's inside it? It's a soil analysis test. In this video, I'm going to be doing 3 different types of soil analysis tests that you can do at home. The sausage test, the jar test, and the pH test. Technically, you're supposed to do these tests before you start gardening so that you know what kind of soil you have to start with and what you should be adding to it to create the best environment for your plants to grow. I didn't do it originally, but hey, it's better late than never, right? Please note, if you live in a highly urbanized environment or with an area of big industry nearby, it's a good idea to not do a DIY one first, but you should send a soil sample off to a lab to get it tested for possible contaminants. It's an easy Google search to find where you can get your soil tested near you. Highly recommend doing this if you don't live in the middle of the rainforest like I do. Luckily, this site is in the middle of the rainforest and has been for like a very long time, so we didn't bother doing that, but you probably should if you live in a city. Better safe than sorry! So it's recommended you do these tests at various places around the property, wherever you're wanting to grow food basically, because it can change quite a bit from area to area depending on a lot of factors. But for the purposes of this video, I'm going to be testing the difference between the top of a slope and the bottom of a slope where we've got our food forest. So without further ado, welcome to the slope. This is one of 2 of our dedicated food forest areas. We've got a bunch of fruit trees, ground covers, hardy perennials, all kinds of stuff, which I'm not going to go into in this video, but stay tuned if you want a video about that. Essentially, this is, as it sounds, a slope. It's quite a steep slope, and one of our biggest challenges with this area has been stopping all of the nutrients running from the top of the slope all the way down to the bottom of the slope and just disappearing off the end of the garden. It's been an evolving process as we try and figure out new ways to do that, but essentially right now it's pretty obvious by just looking at the soil that there's a big difference between the soil at the top of the slope and the soil at the bottom of the slope. Color, texture, feel, smell, taste. Don't taste it, ignore that. We can cut that out, right? Yeah. Anyway, so I went to quantify it to see exactly what the differences are and what I need to be working on. I will be doing these tests at the top of the slope and at the bottom of the slope and seeing what the differences are. So let's get into it. So here I am at the top of the slope. I've got a nice little seat here, which is lovely to sit on and also gives me good access to the ground. So the first test I'm going to do up here is a sausage test. So I'm just going to get a handful of soil and just pour a little bit of water on it. Here's some water I prepared earlier and roll it around. Ooh, and I'm going to try and form a sausage with it. Oh yeah, that's sausaging up quite nicely. Now, according to the quality of the sausage I can make with this soil, determines the kind of soil I have. And according to my little chart here that I have, because I can't bend it and it's just crumbling, sandy soil cannot bend, rough and crumbly. So I can't really bend it without it falling apart. Can you see that properly? This one's particularly hard to film and do at the same time because I now have muddy hands, so forgive me. Oh, that's it. There goes the sausage. So the second type of test I'm doing is a jar test. Here's the jar of dirt. Essentially, you half fill your jar with the soil that you're testing, and then you fill it up with water. And the theory is that over time this will settle out and separate the different elements that are in the soil. So I close this up and give it a good shake. Shake, 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 shake. I need more traction. A really good shake. It's probably good enough. And then we wait and see how that settles out. So I have to let that sit until tomorrow. So we'll cut to the results tomorrow and the explanation of what all the layers are. Hello, it's me from a couple days later. It's actually several days later because it took a long time to settle out, and as you can see, it still hasn't completely settled, but I am seeing some defined lines now. I've taken a photo so you can see it a bit closer up. So the bottom layer that settles out is the heaviest, which is the sand layer. And at the top of the slope, we've got a lot of sand. We're looking at about 85% sand on the top. The next layer up is the silt layer, and that's sitting at about 13.5% as far as I can tell. And then the top layer is the really fine stuff, which is the clay. Now, because this is still very cloudy, I know there's a lot of clay still in this water, so just kind of vibing these at the moment. But regardless, I can tell that there is a lot of sand at the top of the slope. So the third test is a soil pH test. You do need to buy something for this. I'm sorry, it's not completely DIY. It's a soil pH test kit. You can easily get them online or from that big hardware store that everyone knows and has mixed feelings about using. They're easy to pick up. We have a lot of eucalyptus trees and we've used eucalyptus mulch on this, which tends to be quite acidic. You do want to aim for a neutral pH, which is going to be around a 7 on your little scale here. So this is what the kit looks like. Inside you get a little card that's for doing the testing on, and you get these 2 bottles and a pH color chart and some instructions, but we're not going to use those. So first up we get some soil and we stick it on our card like this. This liquid, which is the pH dye indicator, I think I've still probably got too much soil here, so we mix that all up until we get a nice little paste. We're making mud pies, it's quite fun. Now I've done quite a bit more than I would usually just so that you can see it on the video. Then we take the barium sulfate, which is the powder, and we just zhuzh it onto there. And then look, it's gone a color already. So here we have our chart. You can tell we're sitting around a 6, a little bit on the 5. So we're sitting a little bit on the acidic side of neutral. Not surprising considering how many eucalypts we have and the fact that we're using eucalyptus mulch. So pretty much what I was expecting. It's on slightly the acidic side of neutral, but I think still within the okay range for our soil. Good to know if there's anything that needs particularly neutral or alkaline soil, that if I would need to add some stuff to neutralize it. So that's the 3 tests at the top of the slope. Let's see how it compares to the bottom of the slope. So here we are at the bottom of the slope now, and I can already tell just by looking at the color of this soil that this feels like it's going to be a much richer in organic material kind of soil. This area of the slope, gravity really works here, so everything, all the moisture, all the runoff, all the nutrients have all been traveling down the slope and sort of pooling down here at the bottom. So I've even just picked up a worm then doing this. All right, so I have my palm full of soil. I'm gonna pour a bit of water on it. This is our sausage test. Here we go again. Oh, that's already so muddy. It's already holding itself together so much better than what it was at the top. I'm actually able to bend this so much further around. It's a lot less sandy. Not sure if you're meant to be reforming the sausage as you bend. So let's try that again now that it's a little less wet. So here I have the sausage. I'm gonna just try and turn it. Okay, so it has broken a little bit there, but I've gotten to a pretty good curve. I'm gonna be honest, I'm a little confused by the chart. Could either be a clayey loam or a loamy loam. Quite different to the top of the slope, which was pretty much a sandy loam. Yeah. Anyway, let's do the other test now. Test number 2 is the jar test again. So here I'm filling up my jar. Delicious. Tastes just like dirt. Would you like a smoothie? Dirt flavored. Good sounds. Right, now we let that sit for a bit until the water goes clear. So this is the one from the bottom of the slope a couple days later. This is still even cloudier than the other one, so I can tell there's still some clay settling out of it. But the percentage of sand is a lot lower, which is good. So we're looking at about 60% sand and 40% silt, and then there's about 10%-ish of clay, knowing that there is some still settling out. There's also a bit of organic matter on the top of both of them. There's actually a bit more at the top because we did mulch it a few days before I filmed the video. The bottom hasn't really had as much mulch because we know it's better soil. But yeah, a lot sandier at the top of the slope, which is kind of what I expected. I knew that the bottom of the slope was better, richer soil. So I have this very handy pyramid from my course, which will help you describe the actual soil type you have from this test. So according to that pyramid, at the top of the slope I have a loamy sand, and at the bottom of the slope I have a sandy loam. That's not confusing at all. They sound so similar, but the percentages are quite different. Third test, the soil pH test, and you've already seen me do this close up, so I'm probably just going to speed this one up for you. But hey, while you're watching this time lapse, please leave me a comment and let me know if you've done this for your own soil. Were you interested by the results? What did you find out? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I suck at voiceovers. I do like making mud pies though. Interestingly, the acidity is pretty much the same at the bottom of this slope as at the top of the slope. I don't know what I was expecting. I guess moisture and nutrient runoff doesn't really affect the pH as much, but we're still sitting at about the 6.5 to 6 range, pretty much that weird greeny color that we had at the top of the slope. So that means that, you know, these berries here are going to be very happy because they like slightly acidic soil, and that does definitely hold true to what we've experienced. Things that like acidic soil are going to do very, very well here without us having to do too much. So that was actually quite informative. I quite like seeing all of the defined layers that you get in this test. I'm going to wait a few more days and see if these actually go clear. Pretty good indicator of what you're working with. In terms of the ideal soil ratio, you're looking for about 40% sand, 40% silt, and then 10% clay, and then a good amount of organic matter as well. 5 to 10%, which in the maths doesn't actually work out. So I have questions for my permaculture teacher about that. Don't come at me about that maths. The ideal soil for vegetable gardens is a loam or sandy loam with 5 to 10% organic matter in it and a neutral pH. A bit more organic matter required, but this bottom stuff is looking pretty good. So there you go. That's 3 simple soil analysis methods you can use at home. So you can see why it's useful to know what kind of soil you're starting with, so you know what you need to add to get it to the ideal vegetable garden soil, so you can have the best possible growing environment for your plants. I need to put more silt at the top of the slope, and when it comes to improving the soil and adding those things you need, stay tuned for a future video when I figure out how to do that myself. I'm still working on how to actually get it to the ratios that you want, but stay tuned for me learning that one. If you enjoyed the video, let me know. Have you done these soil tests at home? Do you have a better one that you prefer doing? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and do all those sharey things to help me keep doing this. Okay, I'm gonna go drink my milkshake now. I'm gonna go juggle these now. I'm just kidding, but I'm still waiting for them to settle. I'm not gonna juggle them. Also, it's starting to feel gimmicky with a bunch of other stuff. There's a lot of it. Soil analysis